Fatima Rajan, and welcome to Northwest Newsweek. Dryden residents found out on Wednesday just how much it would cost to switch from their municipal police force to the OPP. The price tag sits at just over $5.4 million in the first year of their 3-year contract, which would then fall out to $4.7 million per year. And as Adam Riley reports, that's close to $1.5 million more than the current budget for the Dryden Police Service.
For 18 months, members of council and residents of Dryden have been anxiously awaiting a costing proposal from the Ontario Provincial Police. In May of 2017, council voted in favor of investigating the possibility of an OPP takeover. And now the services and the costs for those services have been laid out for all to see. The price tag for year 1 of a 3-year contract sits at just under $5.5 million, with the remaining 2 years at $4.7 million per year, and is about $1 million more than they currently pay for the Dryden Police Service. Mayor Greg Wilson wonders where the city, with its heavy debt load, is going to find the money to make the switch, and equates the numbers proposed by the OPP as a moving target.
So things will change, numbers will change over time, and by the end of the 3 years, we'll be able to get a really great, accurate idea of what that OPP model shift is going to look like. But the problem is, you need to model what you think is going to happen for the next 3 years and then that new costing model.
Wilson adds there will be public consultations in the coming months to discuss the proposal. Included in that initial $5 million fee is the cost to renovate the OPP detachment on Highway 17, as the Dryden Police headquarters on King Street is located too close to a fuel depot and due to legislation cannot be utilized. Police Board Chair Judy Green says it will take some time to look over the proposal from the board's perspective.
There's a lot, as I said, to go through and digest, and we need to do some more research. And I was grateful to hear some of the suggestions even that the OPP had made, but we're well on our way to doing those investigations as well.
Scott Silver is the president of the Dryden Police Service Association and has patrolled the streets here for 23 years. He says the current police budget sits at $3.9 million, and since the city began looking at the OPP costing, it has lowered morale and created issues within the department.
I'm not going to lie, it has affected their stress and some of their families and things like that. We have very dedicated people that work for us, and we like where we work. We like the citizens that our friends and family that we get to protect, and we enjoy that.
Silver says there is also concern over job losses, as there is no guarantee that Dryden police officers would be hired by the OPP, and cited OPP takeovers in both Espanola and Midland, where none of the local officers were hired. The city now has 6 months to make a final decision as to whether or not to remain with the local force or to go with the OPP. If Dryden does make the switch, it will leave the Thunder Bay Police Service as the last remaining municipal police force here in the Northwest. Adam Riley, TBT News.
A traffic stop by the OPP west of Dryden has yielded a large seizure of drugs and ammunition, and several charges against a Quebec man. On Tuesday, officers pulled a vehicle over for a highway traffic offense. During the stop, police found two boxes of ammunition and a large quantity of drugs with a street value of $50,000. The 25-year-old man from Montreal now faces a variety of charges, including cocaine possession and trafficking, possession of more than 30 grams of dried cannabis, and possession of a firearm or ammunition contrary to prohibition order. Officials with the OPP say he is being held in custody and will appear in court next week. Kiewit Nong MPP Sol Mamakwa let his voice be heard at Queen's Park this past week on behalf of children in far north communities. Mamakwa challenged the Ontario government for its abolishing of the Child Advocate Office, asking how a lack of an independent office to work on behalf of youth can help a situation that saw youth die from suicide. 38 youth die.
Without an independent child advocate mandated to focus on First Nations children and youth, how will Ontario ensure that the children of Kiewit Nook and others from the far north are given every opportunity to grow and flourish?
We are moving towards a stronger, more robust accountability mechanism for those who may seek to harm children and who are not there. We are ensuring that the Ombudsman, who is the chief investigator in this area now, that he will have the opportunity to pursue more child protection mechanisms while ensuring that there is an advocacy component within our office.
across the province rallied Thursday to protest the Ford government's plan to close the provincial child advocate's office. The largest rally was held in Toronto, but here in Thunder Bay, organizers were going around the city collecting names on a petition. The group staged their first rally outside the city courthouse. The child advocate's office has several duties, such as investigating the mistreatment of youth in the child welfare system. If Bill 57 passes, those duties will be merged into the Office of the Ontario Ombudsman. The government says the move will save costs and cut red tape. One of the organizers of the local protest, J.L. Chung, says this is a tactic that is silencing youth and taking away important resources that protect the most vulnerable children in the province.
They're even more vulnerable to experiences of abuse. They won't have access to other services, lack of good communication between agencies, and I think really the communication piece and having their voices heard is really important.
Marginalized children are the voices that are heard the least. They are the children that are actually trying to speak out the most, and they need a voice. They need the support of an outside agency that has power to make their voices heard.
The Thunder Bay rally then moved on to the college, the university, and ended at Intercity Shopping Centre. The group was hoping to get at least 1,000 signatures on their petition to send to Toronto before the debate on Bill 57 begins next week. City and town councils across the region are set to undergo significant turnover over the next week or so, as newly elected municipal officials take their seats at their respective tables. That also means big changes on the board of the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association. For 6 NOMA members, Wednesday marked their last meeting after years of lobbying for the region. Ryan Benazzo has more.
Dave Canfield is one of 6 members of the NOMA Board of Directors who won't be there the next time the group meets. And while Canfield knew this day was coming after choosing not to run for re-election as Kenora's mayor, it still seems like an abrupt end to his 16 total years of service on the NOMA board.
All of a sudden, the end of November is coming, you're going, oops, I'm actually retiring in a couple days.
I don't think I had enough time to talk to all the people I needed to talk to.
Outgoing Fort Frances councillor Ken Perry's mayoral bid in that community fell short, so all he can do now is hope those coming up behind him on the NOMA board share his passions, like fighting for more municipal tax dollars from railway companies and lobbying the province for improved intercommunity bus service.
If Ontario can support busing in Southern Ontario and Northeastern Ontario and Central Ontario, they should be supporting busing to the same degree in some way, shape or form, per capita or per region, as they do in the rest of the province.
Canfield hopes NOMA continues fighting to eliminate provincial red tape, especially in mining and in the forestry sector in which he spent more than 30 years. He hopes the Ford government is ready to live up to its slogan.
Hopefully the new government with the Open for Business signs, they mean it, and they're going to continue on the road to rip this down. But it's not easy, because you've got people standing there trying to stop everything that happens, because no, we have to protect this, we have to protect that. The thing is, we have layered and layered and layered protection on everything. You could actually reduce your carbon footprint, do a way more with proper forest management than you'll ever do with any carbon tax. Carbon tax is a joke.
While NOMA President Wendy Landry believes the new board can hit the ground running and is excited about the new ideas that will come to the table, she admits it's tough to see so much experience walk out the door.
There's a significant loss in knowledge and wisdom, and it's a huge loss to the board.
Ryan Benazzo, TVT News.
The township of Scriber has been placed under a boil water advisory. Residents are being asked to boil their water for a full minute before consuming it. The advisory was put in place after a mechanical failure at the town's water treatment plant. One of the pumps lost pressure for about 37 minutes early Thursday morning. The problem has been fixed. However, the advisory will likely stay in place until Monday. The township is required to submit 2 clear water samples before it can be lifted. Martin Falls has chosen a consulting firm for its environmental assessment for a road to the remote First Nation north of Nanika. The goal is to bring a safe and reliable access point for the community and also to kickstart development towards the Ring of Fire. In August of 2017, then Premier Kathleen Wynne announced plans for an all-weather road into the community. The news was met with criticism from some of the other reserves in the area, which said they were not consulted. However, Martin Falls Chief Bruce Achny-Penescum says funding for the environmental assessment has been received from the province, and they are now moving ahead with the plans in 2 phases. Global engineering firm AECOM has been hired to prepare the technical studies for Martin Falls. Having a First Nation leading in EA is an unprecedented move here in the region.
Would approximately take 2 years, so it's an individual EA, and there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of environmental engineering work to be done. So it doesn't get down to the specifics of really the detailed engineering, but it does do a lot.
Phase 2 will use the road to Martin Falls as a starting point, with the route traveling straight up to the Ring of Fire. By the end of 2019, the municipality of Greenstone can expect to see an open-pit mine just south of Geraldton operational. The project is being led by Greenstone Gold, which has marketed the mine as an economic boom, not just for Greenstone, but for the entire region. The company's management team addressed the public on the status of the project and its timeline at the Valhalla Inn on Thursday evening. Ben Nesbitt was there and files this report.
The Hard Rock Gold project, being spearheaded by Greenstone Gold, appears to be one step closer to a decision-making stage on whether or not to go ahead with the construction. Greenstone filed their environmental assessment back in 2017 and are now expecting approval from the federal ranks in mid-December and sometime early next year at the provincial level. If the assessment is indeed approved, permit applications would be submitted to government regulators, Indigenous partners, and other stakeholders. Director of Finance for Greenstone, David Morgan, says a decision to move forward with the project could be made by the end of 2019.
As we advance the permitting, we'll continue to look at the project, look at all technical aspects of the project, and hopefully get to a position where 2019 we can be at a point where we can make a decision to move forward and look to advance the development of the mine.
If that development is carried forward, the construction process would be 2 years. And as Manager of Community Affairs Dina Quenneville points out, that construction process, as well as the operation of the mine, would drastically improve the town's economy.
So the project is going to have some tremendously positive impacts. There will be a number of employment opportunities for people, both in terms of direct jobs and not only from the construction side, but primarily from the operations of the project once it's built. And also there will be a number of direct and induced and indirect opportunities in terms of all the service provisioning and whatnot.
The construction of the mine would create over 800 local jobs, while the operation would create roughly 500, and the total number of local unemployment could drop by as much as 6%. Ben Nesbitt, TBT News.
Coming up next, while the opening of the Nipissing River Bridge last week lifted a huge weight off travelers and community representatives in the region, it also brought out some concerns among them. Ontario's first cable-stayed bridge was fully opened in the public just over a week ago, completing a 5-year odyssey of construction, delays, and one major incident which made headlines across the country. But officials with the two communities separated by the bridge are now expressing their concerns over whether or not they should plan for an alternative route in case construction of the bridge is shut down again. Adam Riley reports.
We did declare a state of emergency when the bridge failed.
43 days after opening to the public, the first completed section of the Nipigon River Bridge suffered a catastrophic failure, causing the western side of the bridge to lurch up a foot after bolts holding the cables in place broke. For 17 hours, Canada was split in half, and it made headlines from coast to coast. Red Rock Indian Band Chief Matt Dupuis remembers that cold day in January of 2016.
There were so many stranded motorists in this area. I mean, everyone that was traveling on Highway 17 west or Highway 11 south, there was nowhere to go. So we opened up all of our doors and that to be able to house people.
The resulting investigation revealed, in addition to the cause of the failure, an alternative route should be explored in case of another incident. As work continued on the bridge, consultants with WSP met with area stakeholders to discuss said route. But with last week's completion of the bridge, Nipigon Mayor Richard Harvey is now questioning the route's future.
How serious the MTO is, how serious the consultants are on this issue, that's a thing that I know as we in both our communities discuss, we really aren't sure. Certainly we would like to see, for the socioeconomic benefit of this area, we'd like to see move ahead with serious discussion, serious analysis of the importance of that.
Dupuis is a little more forward with his discontent regarding the future of the alternative route. He says should the highway or the bridge be compromised again, his community and many others will be cut off.
Our needs aren't being assessed. They're basically being lumped in as a transportation issue instead of a socioeconomic issue. So it's very frustrating. I'm hoping that the ministry can figure this out and get it right, because right now the direction it's heading is not somewhere that's very favorable for this region.
In an email from the MTO, officials say public input is an integral component of the study, and the ministry will continue to consult nearby towns and First Nations regarding the development and consideration of alternatives, along with the selection of a preferred plan. The MTO adds that the study is still in its early stages, and a timeline for construction has not been determined. Adam Riley, TBT News.
Ontario's Energy Minister is calling on the Competition Bureau to review gas and diesel prices in the Northwest. Greg Rickford believes drivers in our region are being gouged at the pumps. The PC government eliminated Ontario's cap-and-trade system this summer, dropping the wholesale price of gas from 92.4 cents in early August to 80.1 cents at the end of October. That led to noticeable price drops at the pumps in most Ontario markets, but not here in the Northwest. The retail price of gas at pumps here in Thunder Bay only dropped about 4 cents over that time, while distributors' retail margins nearly doubled from 11.5 cents per liter to more than 20 cents. Rickford says somebody is clearly pocketing from the savings instead of passing them on to consumers.
Gas prices have always seemed or been high in northwestern Ontario, but I don't think there's been a window of time in my recollection where folks have been more angry about it. The province has removed the carbon tax from the price of gas. The wholesale price of gas is at near all-time lows. But the retail cost, particularly here in northwestern Ontario, is not reflected in that.
In Thunder Bay, prices range from $1.28 to $1.32 a liter. Communities across the region are also paying a premium from $1.22 in Long Lac all the way up to $1.39 in Sioux Lookout. This while most Southern Ontario customers are paying about $1 a liter. Ontario Provincial Police in Greenstone have arrested and charged a Greenstone area man after a collision on November 14th involving a pickup truck and a pedestrian. The pedestrian suffered only minor injuries, but a family pet being walked by the person was struck and killed. As a result of an investigation, OPP have charged a 22-year-old from Long Lac with dangerous operation of a motor vehicle. He will appear in court in February to answer to the charge. It appears that residents in Dorian will have to continue to detour around the Wimet Canyon Bridge after a project was delayed until 2019. The bridge was closed for a $1.5 million rebuild earlier this year after engineering reports showed that pilings on the structure had rotated, potentially compromising the span. A weight restriction had been placed upon it, forcing the municipality's fire truck and snow plow to find alternative routes. Dorian Reeve Chambers says construction delay is due to poor weather and high water levels. And while he is disappointed the bridge wasn't completed before the winter, he's still hopeful for a quick completion next year.
That the construction should be completed by early summer, probably middle of July or so. And in order to expedite that construction, the contractor, as we speak, they're starting to take fill into the site. So next spring we'll have probably 30 or 35 loads of gravel in there that they can use.
Chambers says there could be some additional costs due to the delay, but the municipality has reserve funds and doesn't anticipate any major cost increases to the project. Police in Dryden are investigating a case of mischief at the Dryden Cemetery. On Wednesday, the city officials reported that someone had driven a vehicle through the cemetery over several plots, causing damage to a number of grave sites. Currently, the police have no suspects and are asking for assistance from the public. After the break, a champion for Dennis Franklin Cromartie High School in Thunder Bay emerges in the form of a federal minister. Students from Dennis Franklin Cromartie High School are back in the city after their meeting in Ottawa with some top federal officials. The students pleaded their case to Indigenous Service Minister Jane Philpott about the need for a new school and student residence, and they came away with a new champion for their cause. Corey Nordstrom reports.
This picture shows 10 students from Dennis Franklin Cromartie High School with Indigenous Services Minister Jane Philpott. The kids spoke with Philpott about the challenges in coming all the way to Thunder Bay for schooling and the needs for a new school and student residence. In a statement, Philpott says she was touched by the stories and aspirations the students shared with her, including their desire for a new school and live-in residence. She promised to be a champion for them and encouraged partners to make sure their perspectives are reflected in the feasibility study for a new construction. Those involved were blown away by the strong support from the minister.
It's a great feeling, honestly. To be honest, I actually kind of shed some tears there. And it was just a great feeling to see how much support we got.
To know that there's people there
that have a voice that can keep the attention on it for us while we're not there is really feels good.
The building in which these students learn is around 50 years old and has a number of issues. A leak in the roof recently caused their gymnasium to be shut down for more than a week, and the school has a number of small leaks throughout the building. These problems were brought up to Philpott, and Ange Kneb says she listened intently to their issues.
If we had a new residence, our programs wouldn't have to worry about our safety all the time. It's because Thunder Bay is really known for being a dangerous place, as you know.
They come out here, travel away from their family and friends and communities and everything that they know to go to school and to get an education. They deserve to have an adequate facility to go to, and they deserve to have a place to stay that they feel safe and that they feel like that is theirs.
Philpott says administrators have agreed to work towards a March 2019 completion date of the feasibility study. It will provide needed details and directions for their next steps, and those at DFC say they'll continue to do anything they can towards getting a new school and residence program. Corey Nordstrom, TVT News.
Well, that's it for this edition of Northwest Newsweek. I'm Nima Rajan. Take care.